What's going on, guys? It's Unknown Player here, and in this video we'll be talking about the DARES of the 9. You're probably wondering, what is the DARES of the 9? I talked about in my last video how Kotaku posted an article saying that Destiny 2 has been delayed, and I'll link that video in the description if you haven't seen it yet, and also the Kotaku article. Now, something they mentioned in that article was something called the DARES of the 9 that was apparently experimented on and cut from the Taken King. So we're going to talk about that in this video. Now, of course, it's important to note that you should never take these articles as solid fact. It's simply discussion from unconfirmed sources. But like I said in my last video, the writer does have a proven track record so far. I don't know how reliable the other writers are at Kotaku for other games, but this one specifically for Destiny has been 100% correct so far. So that's also something to note. I wouldn't really take this stuff too seriously as fact, but I wouldn't write it off like it's made up either. Just something interesting to think and speculate about. Now, what this article mentioned was an activity called the DARES of the 9, and it's something Bungie apparently experimented on last year and were trying to put into the Taken King expansion. One source apparently compared it to Halo's custom games. I'm guessing that means in the gameplay style is similar, and in this activity, players would have a time limit to complete specific tasks, so like a bigger and more complicated set of bounties essentially, with a timer to complete. Examples are defending territories on Mars, which sounds similar to public events like when you have to defend the Vex Conflux while increasing waves of enemies come at you, and also the war set you have to defend. Another example is to kill enemies on Venus with relics, which sounds most interesting to me, and that's definitely the thing I like the most about this idea of the DARES of the 9. So the relics so far that can be used as weapons to kill enemies with have been mainly from raids, so that includes the shield from the Vault of Glass and the swords in the Crota's End raid. Now, it sounds to me like we would get to use these swords and the shield again, and we'd have to kill an amount of enemies on Venus in the time limit. If it's on Venus, it would make sense for the relic to be the shield from the Vault of Glass, which would be really, really cool. That shield from the Vault of Glass was definitely one of my favorite items in Destiny. It's really unique and it can do so many things. It's got a bubble shield you can deploy that your teammates can shoot out of but can't be shot through. It's got these really cool melee animations like a swipe and a bash and a ground slam, and it also has a super blast when it charges up, which is really, really cool. I absolutely loved using that thing, and it just felt like a really powerful and unique weapon as opposed to just shooting stuff with guns. Melee weapons in Destiny are definitely something I'd love to see expanded on. So any excuse to run around with these relics again would be absolutely amazing. There's also a possibility that we would have new relics to kill enemies with. Maybe that's why they cut it, because they didn't want to reuse the old ones from raids and they couldn't come up with new relics in time. So that would be definitely interesting to see brand new relics that could do different things and maybe not reuse the raid ones. But I'd definitely still be happy to use the raid ones because they're still very unique and very cool. Even the Sword of Crota and the Crota End raids are very unique. They sound different, they do different things, and they were supercharged. So I'd love to use those again, especially if it's part of an activity. Now, when you complete this task in the allotted time limit, you'd actually get rewarded from the 9, which I'm guessing would be Nightfall tier or possibly guaranteed exotics. If you don't know, the 9 are a mysterious group in Destiny of very powerful rulers that live outside the solar system, and they're the ones who send Xur to us every week. They control him, and the 9 provide us with exotics through Xur. That's basically their form of communication to us, and that's why he's called a Xur agent of the 9. So any rewards we would get from the 9 would most likely be similar to what Xur sells. For some reason, the 9 want to give us exotics and powerful gear. So the rewards from this would definitely be very impressive. I'm assuming the time limit would have to be quite strict in order to be worthwhile the reward. The concept definitely sounds very interesting. We don't know why Bungie decided to cut it from the game if it even existed, but it's most likely because it wasn't ready or it didn't quite fit into the game. They didn't know what to add to make it just that perfect activity in the game. Admittedly, I don't think it sounds very developed. It sounds very promising, but it doesn't seem that kind of filled out and seems a little bit empty in my opinion. And like I said, it does seem like bounties, but basically with a time limit. I'm hoping that Bungie do develop this more because it would definitely be very, very cool to see in the game. And it could be another activity next to your Nightfall, weekly, and dailies on the Director. And the activities could change every week with the reset. What you need to do within the time limit could be varied each reset. Obviously, we don't know anything about what actually happened to this mode or if it exists, like I said, because it is just speculation from an article from an insider at Bungie. We could never see it again, and maybe they scrapped it forever and just thought the idea was bad, or maybe they're going to work on it, maybe change the name and then add it in later. But I especially love the idea of being able to use relics. I think relics are definitely very underutilized in Destiny right now. We only get to use them in the raids, and when we do, it's normally only one person that gets to use them. You definitely don't want to give them out all the time because then they'll get boring and the effect won't be as cool. But I'm sure that if there was an activity where you could use the relics to kill enemies in a time limit and also get some very, very good rewards, people would absolutely love that, and it would definitely be something for the PvE players. I remember doing the Sword of Crota mission over and over at the launch of Destiny, simply because of how unique it was compared to using weapons and how much fun it was to use that sword. So relics would definitely be something I would love to see more in Destiny, and Dares the 9 is seeming like a cool idea. I love speculating about these things with you guys, so of course leave your comments down below with what you think of this idea. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, which is in the description, and also subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on my future uploads. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.